It started from a place of conflict and like self-betrayal, and it turned into something that was a little bit more innovative. I found that because there's a lack of representation in like environmental planning and conservation planning, especially in urban contexts, there are these like really vast opportunities to integrate cultural diversity that are being overlooked. So I started like finding a bit more hope in realizing that these like cultural experiences in nature are so universal and so prevalent, especially in places like Toronto, that there is a need and interest and a demand for innovation in this space. And that could be like so simple, like for example, like so many migrants, like when they're thinking of nature experiences, they're most drawn to eating and food and harvesting. And whenever I do a nature hike with racialized populations, like the first question is always, can I eat that? And I think that's so cool and that's so powerful. And like there's so much research that shows like if you're gonna do parks planning and you have a strong South Asian presence in the area, you should incorporate picnic tables, because the way that different ethnic groups use nature is distinct and beautiful, and I think it invites a lot of plurality into what we like experience as a very conventionally European and Eurocentric kind of understanding of park space and nature. So I think opportunities to include like more fruit trees on the landscape and more picnic tables and more like ways to incorporate these different cultural experiences and values is kind of a very like low-hanging fruit in environmental planning. And I try to encourage representation in my field. I try to be aware when I'm working in very white spaces of where I might be trying to accentuate my own whiteness, whether that's like speaking a certain way or making certain types of jokes and trying to like play along with very white experiences. It's a very natural reaction when you're a minority in a white space. I try to hold really firm to my own experiences and my own thought processes and my own culture and like my own upbringing, which is not like socially very intuitive because that's not how you fit in, especially as a minority. But just having awareness of like the little micro interactions that might encourage me diluting my identity has been helpful in trying to assert and strengthen it and seeing it as like a strength in the workplace instead of like something that might disadvantage me.
I love that. And if I may, I'd really appreciate you pointing out that point about the picnic tables. Because sometimes when something is like your only experience, you don't realize that it's different from other people's. Yeah. But like you pointing that out, and I think about my own family, my own background with, you know, the huge gatherings of Chinese people in parks. It's also around a picnic table, around barbecuing and like that kind of thing. And that's the only way we really do use parks. And realizing that not everyone maybe has that same experience or like knows that that's your experience. Super helpful and useful to just point it out sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're still engaging in nature. You're still using nature and like showing that you value it. It's just the mode of engagement is different and it's valid. It's like as equally valid as canoeing or camping or even hiking. And there's definitely a conflict with how, especially the Canadian persona is marketed as, you know, Muskoka chairs and beavers and like weekends at the cottage, and like most like immigrants don't have those privileges, those skill sets. And I think it's important to also point out that like while different ethnic groups may use park space differently, it doesn't exclude them for using the same park space in these like Eurocentric ways. And it's a matter of like just having multiple spaces and uses validated and promoted and equally accessible to like different skill sets and interests. Yeah.
Yeah, love that.